Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. For more than 150 years, ours has been a congregation of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes, your story are welcome here. And our doors are closed because our hearts are open, living our values of care and compassion. We hope you stay connected through Sunday online coffee hour, small groups for spiritual reflection. Families can come and pick up spirit kits for kids with themed activities each month. You can also join us every Wednesday night for a forum. This coming Wednesday night is with our Building Our Future team at 6:30 p.m. They've been gathering information for the last year or more about our building and grounds, and they'd like to report some information they've found out during this time from realtors and architects and others from our National Association about what might come next. So join us 6:30 this Wednesday night with Building Our Future. Also, if you're new to the church, a special welcome to you, especially if you've been visiting for the first time online. There's a series of videos to learn about our church on our website and occasional new member gatherings live on Zoom for now. So you can join those, reach out to the staff, or check out our website if you'd like to get connected in that way. Find information also in your e-news or our website for special services and donations through the month of December, including a virtual giving tree, a Wednesday carol request live with our musicians, solstice and Christmas Eve special services, and a Christmas Eve live story time, and a special festive drive-through event on Sunday, December 20th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at the church. There'll be a special light display, there will be carolers, and then you can bring all your donations to that drive-through event, as well as pick up a Home for the Holidays kit that'll have Christmas Eve candles that we'd usually use here that you can bring to your home, as well as some other goodies. So we invite you to join us on Sunday, December 20th for that special Home for the Holidays drive-through event. Today's offering will go to the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee's program Guest at Your Table, supporting grassroots justice work around the world. So you can donate today. You also may be donating through collecting in your Guest at Your Table box, which are still by our front door if you'd like to pick one up. We will be donating or collecting throughout the month, and you can either bring those on the 20th to the drive-through event, or if you'd just like to donate today, you can do that as part of our offering. Thank you for your generosity. And a special thank you to Connie Schulke for filling in this week for our music, as well as Joe Mish as always, but especially Connie, our musician emerita, for filling in kind of at last minute. So thank you, Connie, for your gifts of music today. Finally, in the words of the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes, minister of this church in the 1870s, may our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together.
This is the Unitarian Universalist Church. This is the Church of the Flaming Chalice. This is the Church of the Open Mind. This is the Church of the Loving Heart, where friends come together and share.
As fall ends and winter begins, I remember fondly our first Christmas in Rochester. It was just the two of us, Karen and me. We couldn't go anywhere because it was my holiday to work. I was working an 8-hour day shift at Methodist Hospital. Christmas Eve was one of those classic Minnesota winter days. Temperatures in the teens with no wind and fluffy snow was falling. It started about midday and was still going when I got home from work about 4 o'clock that evening. Karen and I had a nice supper and then tried to figure out what we were going to do with the rest of our Christmas Eve. We decided to go out and look at Christmas lights. We got into our car and drove over to Pill Hill because we figured that the big old houses with the big old trees would be particularly nice, all decorated for Christmas. And we were not disappointed. It was a good year for lights. It seemed like every other house had at least one string over a tree, over an awning, or around the entryway. And there were also a few folks who were channeling their Clark Griswold and seemed to be having every inch covered of their homes covered in blinkers, icicles, and even lighted deer on the roof. The snow was falling, blanketing the entire scene in white and muffling what sound there was in the neighborhood. It was a perfect Christmas scene. It was magical. Karen and I were walking hand in hand one moment, then running and knocking each other into snowdrifts the next. And I remember during that evening having a complete feeling of absolute joy and well-being washing over me in waves. So now we fast forward 26 years, and here we are today, preparing for yet another Christmas holiday in Rochester. There'll be 4 of us this year, and we're not traveling anywhere for obvious reasons. No matter how hard I try, I'm stuck with this feeling of chaos and dread over the thought of the upcoming holiday and winter that will accompany it. COVID craziness is in full swing. On Thursday, Minnesota had a one-day total of 5,000 new cases and 77 deaths. On social media, the debate rages on. COVID is a political issue. Instead of an opportunity to come together and support each other during this crazy time, we always seem to be able to do is fight and bicker over topics such as whether the COVID death toll is inflated because of public health reporting, or if the vaccines being prepared to market are safe for consumers. Finding a sense of well-being and joy seems difficult this time of year. It seems easy to fall into the pit of anger, frustration, and despair. Our service today, we're focusing on ways in which we can be present to the feelings of anger and sadness we may be vulnerable to right now, but yet at the same time learn to recognize that in all moments there are opportunities to find joy, peace, and well-being.
Sitting still, or being still, or stilling your mind, those are all kind of difficult things for, well, most of us to do, at least as often as we should be doing it. I think that one of the things that helps us to be still, though, is knowing that we belong somewhere, that we belong in a house, in a room, in the world, in our hearts, that we belong to somebody or something bigger than ourselves. You Belong Here. Written by M.H. Clark. Illustrated by Isabel Arsenault. The stars belong in the deep night sky, and the moon belongs there too. The winds belong in each place they blow by, and I belong here with you. The whales and the fishes belong in the sea, and the waves belong by the shore, and the dunes where the grasses belong to be, because grasses are what dunes are for. And the trees belong in the wild wood, and the deer belong in their shade. And the birds belong so safe and good and warm in the nests that they've made. And you belong where you love to be, and after each day is through, you will always belong right next to me, and I'll belong next to you. The frogs and the lilies belong in the lake, where the water is silver and clear. The turtles belong in the homes that they make, in the sand where the water is near. And the otters belong by the banks of the stream, and the cattails belong there too. And the carp belong where the water runs green, and the shadows all run blue. And you belong right here where you're home, and where I hold you close. Of all the wonders I've ever known, you're the one I love most. The hares belong in the desert air, where the rocks are red and gold. And those rocks belong with the comets out there, which flash bright when the night turns cold. The foxes belong in the high Cannon Hills, and the sage there belongs in the sun. And the lizards belong in the lights sitting still until they are ready to run. The crickets belong in the old stone wall, and the bees belong in the clover. Just as winter belongs in its place after fall, before the new year starts over. And you are a dream that the world once dreamt, and now you are part of its song. That's why you are here in the place where you're meant, for this is right where you belong. The pines belong on the mountain sides, tucked under their blanket of snow, and the bears belong in the caves where they hide whenever the storms start to blow. And no matter what places you've traveled to, what wonders you choose to see, I will always belong right here with you, and you'll always belong with me. No matter where it is, we all have our place in the world. And know that even though you can't be at church, you belong here. We all belong here.
Good morning. It is good to be with you. We are separated by space and time, but we are still together, and we gather in this virtual way as we continue to create a place of communal caring and connection. Be enriched by the virtual presence of each other, and draw yourself closer into the heart of love at this time of service and reflection. In this time together, we ask that our minds be open, our hearts welcoming, and our arms embracing. We honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Ann Lean, serving as our caring coordinator for the last 2 weeks, arranging care for our members and friends in need. Maggie O'Connell-Nolte will take over tomorrow for the next 2, and we thank her for that. The members of our caring committee are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. During this time of increasing needs in our lives and community, we encourage you to reach out for support and help if you are experiencing hardships. Many of us may need additional care, whether it be personal, pastoral care, grocery delivery, or an errand run, and we encourage you to reach out to Reverend Luke or myself with that request. We thank all of you who have served our congregation in this way over the last 8 months. Today's flowers are shared by Marv Mitchell in celebration of his retirement from Mayo Clinic, and there'll be more on that to follow. In this community, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because each person here has value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those whose lives are touched by sadness, by illness, by worry, or by loneliness. We revel in those who are celebrating joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all. May all of us find comfort, hope, joy, and healing strength in this community. We hold Terry Allred tight in our hearts this morning. Terry's father, John Allred of Cary, North Carolina, has been diagnosed with a rare form of bone marrow cancer that is not treatable. As they start this difficult journey, we send strength and healing thoughts to him, his healthcare team, and the entire family. Please keep them in your thoughts. And we congratulate Marv Mitchell on his retirement. After 34 1/4 years as chair of media support services at Mayo Clinic, Marv will be writing, teaching, and working a part-time gig as Executive Director of the Communications Media Management Association, a national not-for-profit professional development organization for media managers. Also, after biking 500 miles in 2020, he's set to his goal to bike 750 miles in 2021. So, get moving, Marv, and happy retirement. As we have over these last few months, we need to continue to reach out to all in our community to let them know we are still here and still holding and supporting them. We encourage you all to send cards and make calls to those that you love and support your local businesses, opening the doors of communication and community. May the faith in the spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come.
I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning. Feel above you the sky and its ancient light holding you here between in this moment, right here, right now. Know that in this house you are held and you are known and you are named as beloved, as sacred. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life and source of love, God of 1,000 names and beyond all naming, as the cold days shorten and the cold settles, there is an unsettled quiet in the air, an unsettled quiet in the soul of isolation of body and spirit, of full hospitals, yet all separated, and full hearts breaking open, of hoping for healing. And even with every shred of good news, we still know it is time now, a time of waiting. In ancient practice, perhaps this time of year, waiting for the star, waiting for returning light, when what we really want to know is for every ancient story, we're waiting to be together, waiting to be enveloped with love. May we remember the stories of this season, that love meets us where we are, that light finds us in the midst of darkness, across the miles, across the years, that the light keeps shining when we thought it was gone. Love is what connects us over the distances that only the heart can feel and imagine, and love is the journey that only the heart can make across who knows what. We hold this day all those who suffer in mind, in body, or spirit, and I invite you to bring into your own mind and heart this day those who are holding in joy or in sorrow, celebration or concern, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For all those names, spoken and unspoken, may we be forever grateful for the fabric of love and life that weaves us together. May those threads hold us in love and strength. These words of meditation are from Mary Oliver, entitled White Eyes. In winter, all the singing is in the tops of trees, where the wind bird with its white eyes shoves and pushes against the branches. Like any of us, he wants to go to sleep, but he's restless. He has an idea, and slowly it unfolds from under his beating wings as long as he stays awake. In the pine crown, he makes his nest. He's done all he can. I don't know the name of this bird. I only imagine his glittering beak tucked in a white wing, while the clouds, which he has summoned from the north, which he has taught to be mild and silent, thicken and begin to fall into the world below like stars or the feathers of some unimaginable bird that loves us, that is asleep now and silent, that has turned itself into snow. Amen.
First reading is called Blizzard by William Carlos Williams. Snow. Years of anger following hours that float idly down. The blizzard drifts its weight deeper and deeper for 3 days, or 60 years, eh? Then the sun, a clutter of yellow and blue flakes. Hairy-looking trees stand out in long alleys over a wild solitude. The man turns, and there, his solitary track stretched out upon the world. The second reading is Winter Grace by Patricia Fargnoli. If you have seen the snow under the lamppost, piled up like a white beaver hat on the picnic table, or somewhere slowly falling into the brook to be swallowed by water, then you have seen beauty and know it for its transience. And if you have gone out in the snow for only the pleasure of walking, barely protected from the galaxies, the flakes settling on your parka like the dust from just-born stars, the cold waking you as if from a long sleeping, then you can understand how, more often than not, truth is found in silence. How the natural world comes to you if you go out to meet it. Its icy ditches filled with dead weeds, its vacant birdhouses and dens full of the sleeping. But this is the slow down season, held fast by darkness, and if no one comes to keep you company, then keep watch over your own solitude. In that stillness, you will learn with your whole body the significance of cold and the night, which is otherwise always eluding you.
I hadn't seen the image in years. It was such a constant, regular thing I had seen growing up, and certainly for those older than me. But as I turned on the weird little old TV in our basement, a little 10-inch screen with a tan exterior hooked on to an adjustable wall bracket, a remnant of years past and owners past, it came with the place. Now almost a relic, this little homage to a few decades back. But in these days of needing to focus on things nearby, I've spent some time, sometimes considerable time, in the basement, cleaning, organizing, painting. And I plugged in this little TV down there and turned it on. And there it was, that image I hadn't seen for a long time, what our household growing up called TV snow, or more accurately, static noise. The random, slightly shifting assortment of pixelated dots, gray, white, and black. And as it brought back memories, one of my children saw it and looked up and said, "Wow, that's interesting." I was surprised. I'm like, "Great, glad you like it." An image that they had never seen before, never seen in this highly digitized age, and one that I had almost forgotten. But there it was, a portal to a past world almost, where the local stations at the end of the night, which was like 11:30, maybe 12 o'clock, would put their channel to sleep, to rest in the blizzard-like sound and image of static snow. That image makes so much sense to me right now this year, a time where the input we are getting each day reminds us that it's time to turn off the TV, like that image does at the end of the night, that it was time to rest, to stop taking things in. And the juxtaposition of that sentiment, that it was time to pause and be quiet at the end of the night, or perhaps the storm outside was so bad that you lost the signal, a phrase I won't even try to translate into a technologically generational shift. At the same time, as it was time to pause, that image of those pixels and that static noise was so frenetic. I think we called it snow because of how it looked, but it was much more like being stuck in a blizzard of sound, the intensity of sound and swirling white that surrounds you. Maybe that's a little where we are right now, or maybe soon. Stuck in the midst of a blizzard of the mind, of the soul, of the heart, inundated with an intensity of images and sound, of emotions and changes, of things we and generations of people have never had to deal with quite in this way. If you've ever been stuck in a blizzard, or maybe at least had to drive through a blizzard or really bad winter storm, there is, in those times, at the same time, both wonder and awe at the sheer power of it, as well as terror and dread at its potential for closing you in, shutting the world down. There is, in the midst of storm, a humble recognition of nature's beauty and a humble remembering of our fragility, both swirling around us, both of those things at the same time, as we try to find our bearings. So often when we talk about the beauty of solitude or stillness, this month's theme, practices of deep meditation or silent retreat that bring with them the blessings of solitude and quiet and renewal, for many, those are experiences of choice. You can choose to varying degrees dependent on your life and your social location. You can choose each day or for a time to meditate or to pray or to go on a silent retreat, either in your home or somewhere else. You can choose to take time for quiet, for rest. But there is something very different when you're confronted not with a simple invitation to quiet contemplation and spiritual renewal, but with a storm that just stops you in your tracks. And the world around you and within you is swirled with static, blizzard-like intensity that is not a simple invitation to be more monk-like. And yet, there are skills within many of those practices that may aid us in these coming weeks and months. The invitation to pause and to breathe. The invitation to focus on gratitude, meager as our list of gratitude may seem sometimes, but generations of people, through similar and greater struggles than our own, have handed down inspiration to remember our ability to find gratitude in hardship, to find love within times of struggle. Last week, on a ridiculously warm day, our family, apparently with half of Rochester, thought it'd be a great idea to take a little stroll outside in the afternoon at Quarry Hill. With the amount of people, we quickly moved toward the path less taken, masks on, which was in fact our favorite path around the little pond there. There we noticed things differently than our usual fair weather hiking family might notice. A different late November afternoon light and leafless trees. We could hear the movement of ice cracking and shifting from what was frozen not long ago, now breaking open a bit, almost kind of teasing us with spring. The children were sliding some ice from the bank, and it reminded me, looking into the cold water there, of the ways that different animals prepare for winter, how they hibernate. Some in caves, though that's not true hibernation, a few family members would quickly remind me. Or like some frogs in the mud at the bottom of lakes and ponds. And when the ground and the air temperature goes sub-zero, so too do their bodies, even forming ice crystals sometimes within them. Though vital parts survive with varying glucose levels and lots of other interesting information. Part of me thought in that moment, it sure might be nice to just spend winter down there in the mud and wake up in the spring. Or travel with the astronauts who went not that long ago to the moon and will be there for 6 months. That might be kind of tempting. But instead of escaping, of course, I wonder how my soul might adapt to a different winter. The ways generations past would close up shop, only essential travel and business. And if the storm came and the snow piled high all around, there was no DoorDash or grocery delivery, no snapper snowblowers to plow it all out. Before or maybe without electricity, how common that was. That sense of isolation in the midst of storm for centuries. And so often the only travel was maybe out to a barn, out of necessity, to care for the animals, to care for the living, to keep each other alive the best you could. The blizzard drifts its weight deeper and deeper, writes the poet, for 3 days or 60 years, eh? This is the slowed down season, writes another poet, held fast by darkness. And if no one comes to keep you company, then keep watch over your own solitude, they write. So I wonder what is helping you, friends, in the staticness, the freneticness of all that is happening, some of which is new, some is simply compounded on old disparities and concerns. What, in the drifts and the weight of winter, is helping you find your bearings? What is helping you find safe shelter for your soul in this slowed down season? How are you keeping watch over your own solitude, only doing the things you need to do for your body, for your mind, for your soul, for your health, your intrinsic and interconnected health? What teachers of ages past who stood in silent awe of nature's power, what teachers among the frogs or the bears, among the fallow branches, whereon the tips are the seeds of spring, right now, waiting until it is safe to bloom? What wisdom are we finding to carry us through? I remember when the TV would turn to static at the end of the night growing up. Sometimes I'd turn the volume way down, but keep the picture on, eventually silent. Something about that, the dual reality of intensity and nothingness, which is 2020, really. Something about that calmed me, turning the volume down. And if I'm paying attention, that's what I'm looking for in these winter months. The wisdom of nature to hibernate, to find safe shelter and stay put as long as is healthy and safe, and as long as we're able to. And only move out of necessity for survival, our own and others. And to move about so that others don't need to venture out if they can't or if it's unsafe. To acknowledge both the beauty and the fragility of our humanity in its creativity for life, to keep on keeping on through the storm. Just 1 month, one meal, one trip to the barn, one moment of sunshine, one moment of breath, one noticing of the snowflake falling from the sky, just one at a time. May we heed the wisdom of ancestors, the songs of ages, of our descendants coming after us. May we sing this song too, that even in the midst of struggle and in the depths of winter, may we care for ourselves, care for one another, and know that after winter, spring will come. Amen.